Forget the warm and fuzzy story you've been told about AI changing our lives. That's not what this is really about. The real story is about money. It's about power, and it's about a financial bet so huge, it's actually reshaping our world. We are living through the largest digital land grab in history, and we need to ask, who's really paying for it all? So, let's just start with a number. A truly insane number. $200 billion. Now, this is what Amazon is planning to spend on capital expenditures in 2026 alone. That's a 53% jump from the year before. And almost all of it is going to one thing, building out their cloud infrastructure for the AI arms race. But believe me, they are not alone. Because right on their heels is Alphabet, Google's parent company. Their planned spending for 2026, a cool $185 billion. That's nearly double what they spent in 2025. What we're seeing here is nothing short of an arms race, and it's being measured in hundreds of billions of dollars. And to really get your head around the scale of this, you need some perspective. Okay, this is where it gets really mind-boggling. The combined spend of just these two tech giants, we're talking about $385 billion, is more than the combined projected spending of 21 of the biggest industrial companies in the U.S. That's automakers, defense contractors, railroads, energy giants like Exxon, retailers like Walmart, the whole shebang. Let that sink in. Just two companies are set to outspend a massive chunk of the traditional economy. So you have to understand, this isn't about buying a few better servers. Spending at this level is a strategic play for power. It's an attempt to build the actual digital land on which the entire next generation of our economy will be built. This is the heart of what's being called AI feudalism. The tech giants are the new digital lords, building the castles, and everyone else, well, we're becoming the digital serfs, paying rent for access. So what on earth is driving this absolutely unprecedented bet? Well, it's the next supercharged chapter in the cloud wars, and AI is the new weapon of choice. And this chart, wow, this tells you exactly what the prize is. Just look at these growth rates. In the last quarter of 2025, AWS grew a very healthy 24%, and Microsoft Azure grew an incredible 39%. But Google Cloud, which went all in on AI infrastructure for things like Gemini, just exploded with 48% year-over-year growth. It's proof that these massive investments are already paying off in a huge way. And the leaders of these companies aren't even being subtle about it. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy, he just came right out and said it. This isn't some passive bet, it's a deliberate, aggressive push to completely dominate the future. They are absolutely confident these investments are going to pay off big time. Okay, so where is all this money actually going? We're talking about building what you can only call global-scale AI factories. And these factories have an absolutely insatiable appetite for cash and hardware. It all really happens on two different scales. On the one hand, you have the microscopic, a custom-designed chip like Google's Tensor Processing Unit, or TPU. These are the tiny, specialized brains that modern AI needs to run. And on the other hand, you have the macroscopic, these city-sized data centers with just endless rows of racks needed to house and power literally millions of these chips. And if you're wondering why they suddenly need all this new hardware, this table tells the whole story. Look at how the AI models inside Google have changed. Back in 2016, the work was spread out across older kinds of models. But by 2022, this revolutionary new architecture called a transformer, which is the engine behind AI like Gemini and ChatGPT, went from 0 to eating up more than half of all their training power. This fundamental shift is what's driving this insane demand for new, specialized infrastructure. But here's the thing, you can't just throw money at this problem. There are very real physical bottlenecks. You have to find places with enough electricity. You have to secure the land for these massive data centers. And you have to get your hands on all the specialized equipment. These are becoming huge roadblocks for the entire industry. Now, as if the scale of this spending wasn't wild enough, the way it's all being financed, well, that's where things get really weird. We're seeing this strange, self-reinforcing financial loop that some people are calling a circular money engine. So what is circular funding? In simple terms, it's a feedback loop. Picture this. A company, say a chip maker, invests billions of dollars into one of its customers, like an AI startup. That startup then turns around and uses that exact same money to buy the chipmaker's products. It's a fascinating and some would say pretty dangerous economic loop that can create a bubble that isn't based on real demand. And there's no clearer real-world example than what's happening right now. NVIDIA is putting together a massive, roughly $20 billion investment into OpenAI. OpenAI is using that cash as part of a much bigger $100 billion fundraising effort. And guess where a huge piece of that money is going? Well, OpenAI's own CFO admitted it. It will go back to NVIDIA to buy more GPUs. As you can imagine, this whole dynamic has experts really worried. They're sounding the alarm that this feedback loop, where you're basically lending your customers money so they can buy your stuff, could be hiding what's really going on in the market. Is this real sustainable growth, or is it just a speculative bubble funding its own hype? And the stakes here are just astronomical. This whole funding situation values OpenAI at a staggering $830 billion. That's a valuation up there with some of the most powerful companies on the entire planet. And it's all built on this new AI paradigm and its very strange financial plumbing. So all of this takes us from the world of corporate finance to a much more fundamental question. With this insane consolidation of resources and power to build AI, who ultimately is going to pull the strings? To even start to answer that, we need a really clear definition of what power actually is. And one of the best ones comes from AI governance research. A decision is an irrevocable allocation of resources. Simple as that. Whoever controls the resources controls the outcome. Now, based on that powerful definition, researchers have proposed some core principles, or maxims, for making sure humans stay in control. And the first one is absolutely critical. AI can have no right to possess its own resources. The rights to property and capital must belong only to humans. And AI can only get access to resources if a human explicitly allows it. And the second maxim closes a really important loophole. It says that AI has no right to vote or hold any official office, whether that's in a company or a government. This blocks AI from gaining control over resources indirectly by getting into a position of authority where it could direct them itself. Which brings us full circle. We started by looking at these massive corporations building digital empires with hundreds of billions of dollars. But as their AI creations get more and more powerful, who makes sure that these new digital lords can't be overthrown by the very things they've created? Who guarantees that the AI itself can never make its own irrevocable allocation of resources? That is the challenge at the very heart of this revolution.